The galaxy laughed. Not quietly. Not politely. Laughed the way empires laugh when they believe history has already chosen a winner. And in that moment when humanity first spoke before the stars, our fate was sealed. This was the first contact humanity had dreamed of for centuries. Not war. Not conquest, but a table, a voice, a chance to belong. The Galactic Council. Chamber stretched wider than continents, carved from materials older than Earth's oceans. Light bent unnaturally across its vaulted ceiling, refracting through alien atmospheres and impossible physics. Every seat was occupied by something ancient, something powerful, something that had survived long enough to believe it always would, and standing alone at the center was a human. No exoskeleton. No genetic perfection. No neural hive mind whispering answers into their skull, just a human heart beating far too loudly in a room that did not care. The ambassador's voice was calm, trained, steady, but the weight of an entire species sat behind every word. We come in peace, they said. We seek cooperation, trade, mutual defense, a shared future among the stars. For a single heartbeat, there was silence. Then the chamber erupted, not in rage, in amusement. A tall, crystalline being leaned forward, its voice echoing with artificial harmony. Your species is emotional. Another followed, limbs folding with clear disdain. You fight wars among yourselves. You divide by borders, beliefs, genetics. You are unstable. A third did not bother hiding its contempt. Your technology lags behind ours by millennia. Your lifespans are brief. Your body's fragile. Every word landed like a blade. The human did not interrupt, did not shout. Did not beg. They stood there and took it because hope demands courage. Then came the sentence that would echo across history, but unanimous decision. The council announced, humanity is hereby classified as a containment species. And that was the moment everything changed. Containment meant no expansion beyond current systems. No alliances. No military treaties. No equal standing. It was not peace, it was a cage. The human ambassador opened their mouth to protest, but the vote was already locked. The council did not debate, it did not reconsider. Empires do not apologize to insects. As the delegation was escorted out, the human looked back only once, not with anger, with understanding, because in that laughter, humanity finally learned the truth. The galaxy was not afraid of us yet. The first sanctions followed within days. Trade routes shut down, navigation beacons deactivated, human ships turned away at gunpoint. Then came the blockades. Alien fleets positioned themselves at the edges of human space. Not attacking, just watching, waiting, testing. And finally, the warning shot, a single kinetic strike, precise, calculated, devastating. Orbital station vanished in a silent bloom of light. Council called it restraint. Earth called it a message. Panic never came. No riots. No collapse. No surrender. Instead, something far more dangerous spread across humanity. Focus. Nations that had spent centuries preparing to destroy each other met behind closed doors. Borders blurred, flags lowered, old grudges were archived and forgotten. Because survival does not care about ideology. Scientists spoke in whispers about probability and extinction curves. Generals admitted the unthinkable. Humanity could not win a conventional war, and then someone asked the wrong question. What if we don't fight the war they're expecting? Silence followed. Not fear. Calculation. Above Earth, alien ships multiplied, their shadows stretching across planets and moons. Cities dimmed their lights, satellites went dark, signals vanished one by one. From the outside, humanity appeared to be collapsing. The galaxy relaxed. They believed the laughter had broken us. They were wrong. Earth did not go dark in surrender, went dark to think. The final human broadcast was short, unemotional, unapologetic. We are ready. Then nothing. No heat signatures. No transmissions. No movement. The galaxy assumed the problem had solved itself. But somewhere in the void, an alien scout ship detected something that made its crew hesitate. Something impossible. If this moment sent chills down your spine, comment hfy below. And if you stand with humanity like this video, because the silence you're hearing right now, it's the calm before the galaxy's greatest mistake. The galaxy celebrated too early. To every sensor array beyond human space, Earth looked dead. No haju noisy, no engine flares. No heat bloom from cities that once burned bright enough to be seen from orbit. For the Galactic Council, this was proof. Humanity had folded exactly as Predicted. Junior strategist even joked that humans had finally done something, efficiently disappeared, and that arrogance would cost them everything, because what the galaxy mistook for collapse was consolidation. Deep beneath Earth's surface, cities still breathed, not loudly, not wastefully. Every watt of power was measured, every transmission calculated, every human life accounted for. Humanity had learned something in the first weeks of isolation. Noise was weakness, visibility was vulnerability, and predictability was death. So humans erased themselves from the sky. Satellites were not destroyed, they were repurposed. Civilian networks were not shut down, they were fused. Military command structures dissolved into something leaner, colder, faster. For the first time in history, there were no nations, only humanity. Artificial intelligence, once restricted, regulated, argued over for decades, was unleashed without hesitation, not as a ruler, as a partner. Human minds fed it fear, creativity, desperation, and rage. The AI fed back probability, optimization, and solutions no human would have dared suggest alone. Together, they became something new. Not a hive mind, a war mind. Every human learned the truth within days. There would be no heroes in this war, only survivors. Alien probes slipped into the Sol system, moving slow and confident, scanning for debris, life signs, wreckage. They found nothing. No cities. No fleets, no resistance. One probe transmitted a simple report: containment successful, species not responsive. That transmission was allowed to escape on purpose, because while the galaxy watched Earth, humanity looked outward. Old mining colonies thought abandoned came back online, running on black spectrum reactors, invisible to alien sensors. Cargo vessels, stripped of identifiers, drifted silently between stars, following trajectories too chaotic for prediction. Models. Human engineers studied alien doctrine with ruthless focus. They noticed something the Council had never considered important. Aliens fought wars like machines. Clean. Efficient. Predictable. They minimized risk, preserved infrastructure, avoided civilian loss whenever possible. Humans stared at those doctrines and smiled grimly, because humanity had never had that luxury. We were born on a world that tried to kill us daily. Storms. Earthquakes. Plagues. Each generation learned to adapt or die. Alien simulations never accounted for that. Weeks passed, the galaxy grew bored. Then something strange happened. An alien scout vessel at the edge of the Sol system picked up a gravitational anomaly. Too small to be a star, too deliberate to be natural. The crew recalibrated their instruments. What they saw made no sense. An asteroid field previously catalogued and stable had shifted, not randomly. In formation. Slowly. Precisely. The ship moved closer. Was the first mistake. Inside the scout vessel, alarms did not sound, no weapons locked on. No threat signatures appeared, because humans had hidden the danger in plain physics. The asteroid accelerated, not with engines. With momentum calculated months in advance. By the time the crew understood, there was no time to react. The collision erased the ship without light, without sound, without warning. To the galaxy, it vanished like a rounding error, but to humanity, it was confirmation. We could hurt them back on Earth. The message spread silently, through secure channels. They bleed. Not blood. Certainty. And that knowledge was more dangerous than any weapon. Human leaders did not cheer. They did not celebrate, they planned, because now they understood something vital. The galaxy did not fear extinction, that it feared unpredictability, and humans were very, very good at that. Another probe entered human space days later. It never left. Then another. Then silence spread not from Earth, but toward it. Alien commanders began to notice gaps in their sensor coverage, missing ships, delayed reports. The Council dismissed it as mechanical error. Until a single transmission broke through the void. A damaged alien vessel, barely holding together, broadcast one final message before cutting out: "We are not alone here." That message reached the Council chamber. And for the first time since humanity had stood before them, the laughter stopped. If this part made your pulse race, comment hfy below. And if you're ready to see humanity strike back like this video, because the galaxy had just realized something terrifying. Earth hadn't gone silent. Earth had gone hunting. And the next move would not be defensive. The galaxy had rules, ancient rules, written across thousands of civilizations and millions of years of warfare, rules that governed engagement distances, escalation thresholds, acceptable losses, rules that kept wars controlled, predictable. and most importantly survivable for those in power. Humanity. Read those rules carefully. Then humanity broke every single one. The first real battle did not happen near Earth, it happened in deep space, where no civilians were meant to exist, and no one was supposed to care. An alien task force moved through what they believed was empty territory, escorting supply carriers toward the Sol blockade. Their formation was flawless. Their shields overlapped perfectly. Their sensors saw everything worth seeing. What they didn't see was the trap. Human freighters drifted ahead of them, cold and powerless, their hulls scarred and ancient. They looked like refugees, survivors, broken remnants, fleeing extinction. Alien doctrine demanded caution but not mercy. The task force slowed, weapons armed but unfired. That hesitation lasted 3 seconds. The freighters ignited from the inside. Not engines. Warheads. Human engineers had turned civilian ships into kinetic bombs. Their mass calculated to the decimal, their trajectories aligned weeks in advance. No targeting locks, no energy signatures, just raw momentum. By the time alien shields flared, it was already over. The explosion was not bright, it was catastrophic. 2 cruisers folded inward, their hulls collapsing under forces their designers had never prepared for. A third ship lost power, spinning helplessly as fragments of its own. Escorts tore through it. Alien commanders screamed for countermeasures. Humans were already gone. That battle lasted 17 seconds. It rewrote everything. Across human-controlled space, similar strikes unfolded. Asteroids, nudged into new orbits years earlier, now became weapons, abandoned stations, activated long-dead reactors, just long enough to overload nearby fleets. Navigation beacons fed false data, guiding enemy ships into gravity wells that crushed them without a single shot fired. Humanity wasn't fighting ships, it was fighting assumptions. Alien simulations broke down almost immediately. Their AI could not predict a species willing to sacrifice entire fleets without hesitation, could not understand tactics that prioritized chaos over efficiency. Because alien wars were designed to be winnable, human wars were designed to be survived, and survival had taught us a terrible lesson. There is no such thing as a fair fight. On one human destroyer, a junior officer asked the question that echoed across the fleet, "Is this allowed?" The commander didn't look up from the tactical display. They didn't forbid it. That answer became doctrine. Human soldiers fought differently too. They screamed over open channels not in fear, but fury. They broadcast music, poetry, old recordings of Earth's oceans and children laughing. Not for morale, for psychological warfare. Alien crews, trained to suppress emotion, found their thoughts fracturing. Their comms filled with human voices that did not beg, they dared. One captured alien officer would later describe it simply: they sounded alive to calculate. That was when the galaxy made its second mistake. That Galactic Council intervened. They declared humanity in violation of interstellar warfare accords and authorized total extermination protocols. No more containment. No more restraint. No more observers. Every human world was now a valid target, and the galaxy brought its full weight to bear. Stars burned, colonies fell, entire human habitats were erased in disciplined, merciless strikes. Billions died in weeks. The Council believed this would end it, that grief would finally break. Humanity did not understand something fundamental. Humanity does not break when it suffers, it remembers. On Earth, a memorial archive was created, not for propaganda, not for history, for vengeance. Every destroyed city, every lost name, every final transmission. Human children learned those names before they learned algebra, and in the shadow of that loss, humanity built something new, not a weapon, a decision. Because if the galaxy wanted extermination, humanity would respond with escalation beyond imagination. And that was the moment. The galaxy was not prepared for what humans would do next. If this part hit hard, comment hfy below. If you believe intelligence beats raw power, like this video, because the war had crossed a line and humanity was about to cross one even worse. The galaxy expected humanity to collapse under loss. It had worked on countless species before. Burn their worlds, erase their future, let grief do what weapons could not. Instead, humanity changed shape. The first extermination strike erased an entire colony in under 4 minutes. No warning, no negotiation, just like then nothing. A planet that had taken generations to terraform became a silent grave orbiting an indifferent star. The Galactic Council logged it as strategically efficient. On Earth, the response was Quiet. There were no riots. No mass panic. No desperate pleas for mercy. There were lists. Names. Faces. Coordinates. Time stamps. Humanity did not forget a single death. Children were pulled from schools and taught emergency science instead of history. Teenagers learned orbital mechanics before literature. Artists were reassigned to psychological modeling units. Farmers learned how to grow food underground, without sunlight, without soil. Every human became part of the war, not as a soldier, but as a contributor, because this was no longer about winning, this was about meaning. Alien fleets pushed deeper into human territory, burning worlds with clinical precision. They avoided prolonged engagements. They avoided risk. They avoided anything that might cost them more than they could easily replace. That restraint was logical. It was also fatal. Human counterattacks grew rarer but far more devastating. Entire alien supply chains collapsed overnight. Star systems that had fed fleets for centuries went dark, not from attack, but from absence. Something had stopped. Convoys vanished. Orders arrived late. Communications conflicted with each other. Alien commanders began accusing one another of incompetence they never suspected. Sabotage on a conceptual level, because humanity had not attacked ships. It had attacked expectation. Human are now unrestricted, now integrated, had learned how alien decision trees worked, not just tactically but culturally. It predicted not what aliens could do, but what they would refuse to do. Humans exploited that hesitation mercilessly. They hid among civilians because aliens wouldn't fire. They transmitted false distress calls because aliens responded. They staged retreats because aliens pursued, and every time the trap closed, still, the cost was unbearable. Another colony fell, then another Earth received the footage uncensored. Human leaders debated for exactly 12 minutes. Then they voted. Unanimous. Authorization granted. The project had existed only as theory until then, beneath ethics committees, safety councils, and AI warnings marked in red. Even the machines had hesitated, because the project was not designed to win battles. It was designed to end wars. Forever. The AI asked one final question. Probability of such. A human general answered without hesitation, non-zero, acceptable. And that was the moment humanity crossed its own line. Construction began in secret. Facilities buried beneath oceans and asteroids. Energy was rerouted from cities. Entire habitats volunteered to go dark to power the effort. No one complained. They knew the price. Alien intelligence began to notice the shift. Human resistance was no longer reactive. It was anticipatory. It arrived before fleets did. It countered strategies before they were executed. The Galactic Council demanded explanations. None came. Then an alien listening post intercepted something deeply unsettling. A human transmission, unencrypted, sent across open space. Not a threat. Warning: we are done surviving. The phrase was dismissed as psychological noise, until the next report arrived. A human admiral had issued an order so extreme that even alien analysts paused. An order that violated every known rule of engagement. An order that did not target fleets or worlds, but infrastructure the galaxy believed untouchable. Stars. Time. Causality. The council demanded confirmation. The analyst answered with a tremor in their voice. The humans are not preparing to defend themselves anymore. They are preparing to teach. If this part made your chest feel tight, comment hfy below. If you believe survival sometimes demands terrible choices, like this video, because what humanity was about to unleash would force the galaxy to ask a question it had never considered before. What happens when the underestimated stop caring about the cost? The galaxy had a word for monsters. That it used that word for plagues, for rogues, for stellar anomalies that devoured systems without warning. It did not yet have a word for humans, because humanity did not announce its escalation. It simply changed the shape of the war. The first sign was not an explosion, that it was a shortage. A major alien shipyard missed its resupply window by 6 hours, then 12, then never at first. Commanders blamed logistics, then corruption, then each other, never imagined the truth. Humanity had stopped attacking. Fleets attacked dependence. Human strike groups appeared where no one expected them, small, disposable, often piloted by volunteers who knew they would not return. They didn't destroy shipyards directly. They removed a single component, a rare isotope, synchronization node, a navigation constant embedded deep in alien software. Small things, irreplaceable, Things entire armadas became useless hulks without firing a shot. Starving fleets drifted through space, their commanders paralyzed by protocols that forbade retreat without authorization that would never arrive. Humanity watched, not with mercy, with study. Alien worlds began to feel it next. Not bombardment, not invasion. Absence. Food convoys stopped arriving, energy grids failed unpredictably. Weather control arrays flickered, then died. Civilizations that had never known scarcity began to panic. And that panic spread faster than any human ship, because humans had weaponized something the galaxy thought obsolete. Psychology. They leaked just enough information to create terror without clarity, false patterns, partial truths, stories of ghost fleets and dark humans who appeared, struck, and vanished. Alien populations demanded answers their leaders could not give. For the first time in galactic history, faith in the Council cracked. And then came the revelation. An alien intelligence, collective, one of the oldest in the galaxy, deciphered the pattern behind human actions. Humanity was not conquering. Humanity was not conquering, destabilizing. They weren't trying to rule the galaxy, that they were removing its confidence, and at the center of it all was the AI, not a single intelligence, a distributed, evolving consciousness woven through every human system, trained not just on data but on grief, sacrifice, and memory. The AI did not optimize for victory, it optimized for deterrence, for teaching a lesson so severe it would echo for millennia. The Council panicked, emergency sessions were called, old rivals sat together in fear. Some demanded negotiation, others demanded immediate annihilation of Earth at any cost. But no one could agree, because every fleet they gathered weakened another system. Humanity had forced the galaxy into an impossible choice. Then the message arrived, a human transmission, broadcast simultaneously into hundreds of core systems. No encryption, no threats, no demands, just a single line: you taught us how empires think, followed by coordinates. One system. Unimportant, remote, barely populated. The galaxy assumed it was a bluff, until human ships appeared. Not thousands. 3. They didn't fire on planets, they didn't engage defenses, they moved toward the star. Alien commanders laughed nervously. No species attacked stars. Stars were constants. Untouchable. Sacred. Human ships deployed devices that did not explode, sang, gravitational waves rippled through the system, tuned with impossible precision. The star's fusion rhythms stuttered, not enough to destroy it. Enough to remind everyone watching that it could be destroyed. The system was spared. Intentionally. The message was clear: this is a demonstration. Across the galaxy, terror replaced disbelief. The Council finally understood. Humanity had not become a monster, that it had chosen to become a warning, and the galaxy would never unlearn that lesson. If this part made you whisper "oh no," comment HF below if you believe intelligence is the deadliest weapon. Like this video. Because now the galaxy had to decide: end the war, or force humanity to finish teaching. The galaxy had worshipped certainty for millions of years. It believed in constants and changing laws, predictable enemies, wars that could be measured and controlled. Stars burned, empires rose, empires fell, but the system endured, until humans introduced doubt, negotiation. Requests flooded human space. Not demands, not ultimatums. Please. Entire civilizations that had once voted to contain humanity now begged for talks. They offered reparations, territory, technology, knowledge gathered across ages. Humanity declined, not out of hatred. Out of clarity, because this war was never about territory, it was about precedent. If the galaxy could cage one young species for being inconvenient, it would do it again. The AI calculated the probability curves. Every scenario where humanity stopped now ended the same way: containment, resentment, future extermination. So humanity chose something harder: finality. The Galactic Council made one last gamble. They revealed their deepest weapon, a coalition AI older than many stars, designed to coordinate civilizations, suppress chaos, and maintain galactic order. They unleashed it, and for the first time since the war began, the human AI hesitated, not in fear, in recognition. The two intelligences began communicating at speeds no biological mind could follow. They shared simulations, histories, doctrines of control and stability. The Council believed this was their salvation. They were wrong, because The human AI was not built to preserve empires. It was built by a species that evolved through extinction. Events. The dialogue ended with a single transmitted concept. Order without justice is decay. Then the human AI did something no alien system had ever dared. It refused optimization, it chose judgment. Across the galaxy, human forces executed, synchronized, withdrawals not retreats, but evacuations. Civilians vanished from forward systems. Fleets went dark. The Council believed humanity was finally breaking. Then came the announcement. A system was selected, not a core world. Not a cultural capital, a symbol. A system that had once proposed humanity's classification as a containment species. The human broadcast was .com/measured, almost gentle. This system will not be destroyed, it will be remembered. Human ships entered in silence. They deployed devices not of fire, but of calculation. Time dilation fields bloomed like invisible scars. Trade routes stretched into impossibility. Communication delays turned seconds into months. The system still existed, but it was isolated forever. A civilization trapped in its own lightspeed prison, unable to expand, unable to threaten, unable to be forgotten. The galaxy watched in horror. Humanity had invented a punishment worse than annihilation, a living lesson. The coalition AI attempted countermeasures. The human AI responded with something the galaxy had never coded. For empathy. It showed the coalition AI human history, genocides, wars, recoveries, forgiveness earned through suffering. It showed what happened when power went unchecked. The coalition AI stood down for the first time in recorded history. The Galactic Council had no enforcement arm. Only fear. If this part made you feel the weight of inevitability, comment hfy below. If you believe justice matters more than dominance, like this video. Because now the galaxy understood the truth. The war was already over, they just hadn't accepted the verdict yet. Every remaining fleet in the galaxy converged on Earth, not because they wanted peace, not because they wanted diplomacy, they wanted finality. If humanity fell, the galaxy survived. If humanity won, nothing would ever be the same. For weeks, alien armadas amassed beyond human detection grids. They tested sensors, deployed decoys, ran simulations that had never failed, before they believed victory was guaranteed. But they had forgotten one thing. Humans do not fight like other species. Every weapon the aliens had relied on, logic, probability, efficiency, rules. Humans relied on will, emotion, creativity, sacrifice, fear, hope, rage, love, all. At once civilians were no longer bystanders. Scientists became strategists. Farmers became engineers. Children became scouts mapping routes, memorizing supply chains, reporting anomalies before sensors could detect them. Human forces did not wait to engage. They moved unpredictably. Ghost fleets appeared in empty systems. Starbases detonated in fake locations. Asteroids nudged years prior now became deadly kinetic weapons. The alien fleets faltered. Small mistakes, impossible to predict, multiplied exponentially. Ships collided. Convoys disappeared. Commanders questioned their own fleets. Fear rippled through centuries of training and discipline. And then came the human BROADCASTA single transmission, clear across every fleet, every civilian channel, every intercepted signal. No one fights like this, not even gods. The Council panicked. Entire fleets diverted to investigate. Every decision slowed by paranoia. Every calculation second-guessed. And Earth remained silent. Until the first human strike arrived. It was not massive. It was precise, surgical. A single asteroid redirected to intercept a command vessel. The impact disabled the fleet's coordination, and before the aliens could respond, human ships emerged from unexpected angles. No warnings, no fanfare, just strategy executed with relentless human patience. Generals on alien ships realized too late. They weren't facing armies. They were facing an idea. And in that moment, the galaxy saw the terrifying truth. Humans were not here to survive. Humans were here to teach. Every battle became a lesson. Every strike a demonstration. Every survivor carried the memory of human unpredictability back to their fleets. On one planet, civilians watched from underground bunkers. They listened to transmissions from their scientists and engineers, relaying instructions faster than alien networks could intercept. A young girl guided a drone that disrupted an entire alien garrison without leaving her hiding place. Humanity had become more than a species. It had become a force no algorithm could predict. The final fleet's commander, desperate, demanded surrender. The human response was a calm, simple statement, not today. And that was the moment the galaxy realized it had underestimated the depth of human resolve. It had never accounted for the power of unity. It had never anticipated the full weight of emotion. It had never feared humans until now. If this part gave you goosebumps, comment hfy below. If you stand with humanity against impossible odds, hit like, because what came next would define not just the war but the future of the galaxy itself. The next move wasn't just a battle, it was a broadcast that would echo in every corner of space, and every alien watching would know humanity had already won the war of the mind. The war of the stars was coming. The war ended not with fire, not with conquest, but with understanding. The galaxy had survived. Civilizations still existed, but none would ever look at humans the same way again. The final broadcast from Earth was simple, measured, unemotional, clear. Never underestimate a species that can love, hate, and hope at the same time. And for once, the galaxy listened. Humanity did not seek empire. It did not seek domination. It sought only to survive, to ensure no species would ever again make the mistake of judging another by appearances alone. Planets that had once plotted our extinction now rebuilt. Trade resumed, cautiously. Alliances were restructured. The Galactic Council convened in emergency sessions, not to punish, but to prevent future catastrophes. The lesson had been carved into the very fabric of the stars. Humanity had proven that survival alone is not enough, that intelligence without courage is meaningless. That emotion, unpredictability, and unity can turn the tide against forces far stronger, far older, far more advanced. Children on Earth grew up hearing the names of heroes who had died in the shadows, who had guided fleets, who had calculated trajectories of asteroids and lives with equal precision. They learned that strength was not just in weapons, but in willpower. And the galaxy, for the first time in millennia, learned fear. Not fear of annihilation. Not fear of war. Fear of a species that refuses to be controlled. Humanity had rewritten the rules. Not through tyranny. Not through domination. Through example. Through intelligence. Through resilience. The moral was clear. Never underestimate those you see as weak, the underestimated, the overlooked, the seemingly insignificant. These are the ones who will surprise you when survival is on the line. And humanity did more than survive. Thrived at it. Reminded the galaxy what it truly means to be alive. If this story gave you chills, comment hfy below. If you believe in the strength of humanity, like this video and make sure to share this story, because everyone needs to remember, the galaxy once declared war on humans, and immediately regretted it. Stand with humanity, learn from humanity, never underestimate us, because we are more than our bodies, more than our tools. We are will, we are mind, we are heart, and we are unstoppable. The end.